the 16 matches they played here across all competitions. Good start to his Manchester City career, Semenyo. They'll take his throw. Montana. Shield and spread. Spread well. Trippier, Gordon running ahead of him. That's too high though for the England attacker. Oh, well, that's exactly what you were talking about with Montana. Set up play, went deep, put it on the throw in, take himself and then switch the play. Yes, lucky on the phone. City found the ranks. Stopped though by a combination of Newcastle players. O'Reilly. So it's space again here for Rangers. Former Milan midfielder bombing on. Mamouche. Ignoring. Rangers opens up. City pretty close to adding a second. A really good ball by Nuri, playing down the side of Rangers so he can turn. His pass here, he's on the side. Turns now, he can't quite get there. Always just going away from the goal. Tries to beat the goalkeeper with power. Should have bent on the ball, it actually hits a touch. Knows where it was going initially. Rangers has come out of his purple patch, scored 4 in 6 games, but hasn't scored in his last 6 now. Change of pace the City have shown so far that Newcastle have struggled to cope with. Some touch there by Anguri to take it down out of the sky. Now he's lost it. Tonali. He recovers the ball here for Newcastle. Chow to Botman. Gordon. Squeeze past Semenyo. Gordon. Willow. Newcastle. Confidence here. Tonali. City do so often start well. 11 goals they've now scored in the only 10 minutes of games this season, the most of any Premier League side across all competitions they're playing in. Teams chasing against them. And so many teams come here, don't they? Try and play that ball in behind City, and we've seen it a couple of times for Newcastle already, but when you try, you've really got to get those passes right, otherwise ball possession goes back to the home side again. It's probably going to be done in a couple of passes, as it was in that previous move. There was a couple of decent short passes, then there was 2 midfield runners, Willow being one of them. It was an overload against the Man City right back, Nunez. Trafford happy to take his time. He's been City's League Cup goalkeeper this season. He plays every minute of every game so far. Right ball by Trafford, just trying to play it into the body of Mamouche. First appearance tonight since the first set. It's slightly different, he's saying they used to often be back-to-back weeks, didn't they? But slightly more separated this time around because of the expanded UEFA Cup competition these days. Sloppy. Looking in there. It's been penalised. To what extent? This is what the former players and coaches don't quite understand, because it looks as though it's a brilliant tackle by Foden. His momentum takes him in to the next challenge. So he wins the ball perfectly. Good slide challenge. Ball comes into here. It's a very difficult one to call. It's funny because we had this exact conversation before we came on air, didn't we, about challenge like that. He didn't move his leg afterwards. He was at the same height as when she won the ball. Head warrior making that point.
Yeah, I can't see that one from the referee, I'm afraid. That was a perfectly good challenge.
Tied and long. On my third, on my hand. Paul. Ramsey. Well, I have played rugby here in the past, but well, I think been too high there for Ramsey. He must try and score a conversion.
Graham Jones alongside Eddie Howe. Centre forward, he's playing for Wigan and Spurs South End. Very much a player's coach by all accounts. He obviously now going to stay for him. We're working as the training ground. Thinking, well, one there by Semenyo. Well, we've got Roberto Martinez. He was coach in several different places.
Izaka. Raiders, Glory. Got more space ahead of himself here. Ray Glory, so much to give, Glory. And they don't get lucky this time, it is a corner. And I'm worried for Newcastle about the space that can be found in behind Kieran Trippier.
Well, you mentioned his pace earlier on in your commentary. He's just about kicked it in here. Now, I think he's right to go for goal. There isn't too much on for him. Maybe he could have shot a fraction of his look in. He's had another look. Now he's going to have to shoot. Xiao comes across. Good block in the big centre half.
The score for Manchester City here. They did have a reasonable goal record of Wolves previous. Reinders corner, Ake's header. It was off the chest there and third. Moves to the line. Mamouche. Foden looking to open up. Reinders. Gonzalez to Nouri. Not fully clear by Chow. Foden. Semenyo. Foden again. Mamouche. Semenyo! How was that not turned home? It was O'Reilly coming in round the back.
Well, I wonder if Semenyo shoots it here or trying to cross it. They keep the pressure on brilliantly. There from Newcastle players. They took the right pass. Really good from Nico. Down the corner. I think he's trying to cross it. Quite so firmly. Probably not. On that strategy, the goalkeeper and the Newcastle defenders slightly coming around the back, couldn't get there.
Newcastle being fractured in their own defensive third here. Gordon on, but to nobody. O'Reilly. Gordon, Baltimore. This is when Newcastle have to move quickly. Trippier needs to bend that one for Gordon. It's Baltimore instead. Glory nips it back.
You're absolutely right. The run that needed to be made was by Gordon into the second space that Baltimore ran into.
Reinders has Bender on the midfield. Cement put this forward, but it's left from range by Mamouche. It's a corner to Manchester City. We're starting to pair again.
And Riley's had a good start to the game. Rangers just spinning off the back of Chow. It's actually Ramsey that he spun away from. Riley probably the target for these balls into the box. Got a few goals in the cup competitions.
Away by Ramsdale. Has been told to not creep forward any further. Good breaks on the road this season, Newcastle. 3 wins in 16 matches on Central Park. Finish wide, this time by Semenyo.
Great first touch from him. Sure where Trippier was going with that pass. This for a touch. Brings it down, buys himself half a yard. Actually, could have done better with the shot there. Just wrapped his foot around it and gone for the other corner.
He scored 4 in his first 5 games for Manchester City. Might have had another in the first leg as well, but it was controversially disallowed, they'd say. Following the game, this is whether it should have stood or not. Now, it's Gordon, chance! And once again, Trafford the man for Manchester City.
How easy is that? One long ball played forward. They win the first ball in the air. That's what Third does. They win the second ball in the air. Suddenly, Gordon's in. He's lifted it over Trafford. It's not opposed to any ball. Quite got that right, did he? 2 good chances now for Newcastle.
Slightly awkward for him, didn't he, the way he sat up on his weaker left side. So far, and go out to the corner. Ramsey. Ball. There's a slight push there. The referee spotted that, but has played the advantage with Trafford in possession.
Since coming back from his ban, I think Tonali's done really well for Newcastle. He's a better player.
Risk taken there, needlessly so. Tonali. He steps in. Bush was challenging for the ball. Chow did. Has it back now. Eman. There by Gonzalez. Newcastle now could move. And Mosa with Trippier. Gordon wanted it there, quite slightly down the side though, Trippier. We'll have another go. Tonali.
I've got to say the movement of Gordon is causing Man City 1 or 2 problems. He's not playing as the out-and-out centre forward, he's drifting across that front line a couple of deep at times. He's certainly got the pace to run in behind them.
Ball. Free kick to a 2. It can't be glossed over. Really, the 2 players that they are missing tonight in midfield, in Buruki Moraes, who they're expected to be back for the weekend game against Brentford, and Joelinton as well. That looks more of a chance that might have given them here tonight, certainly physically as much as anything.
They are 2 very, very important players for Newcastle, have been over the last 2 or 3 seasons. Linton came to the club, he was a centre forward, but Eddie Howe's made him into a very good midfield player.
I don't think publicly Eddie Howe will be using it as an excuse, but deep down in his own mind, he'll know they are certainly weaker for their absence. City with the throw off Gordon. Tell, I think, by his body language that things are just not sitting at the moment for them, not dropping for them where they need to. Certainly not taking the 2 big chances they've had either.
That's been critical, hasn't it? The Tones 2 big chances. Would have should have done a lot better. So to Gordon.
Wissa to the left, sat in reserve alongside Anthony Malanga. 2 players with great pace, so I'm sure will add to Gordon's own speed in the second half when they really trying to force the matter a bit more. You did hear Eddie Howe say ahead of the first leg that there is no side in world football harder to play over 2 legs than Manchester City. Yes, you can see why the rotation they put into their side tonight. That's what they can do.
stadium. He's trying to play back ball into a right. He's under a lot of pressure. Really the right pass. It's got out of it. Dory, his ankle was nibbled there, he did. Tonight and was continuing to show his versatility, a man who started his career as a youngster much further up the field, has played left back so often so far for Manchester City. In the last couple of weeks has found himself in the middle of the park. It's Semenyo. Foden. Nunes. Semenyo. Foden. Something's brewing here. So it looks, it's still light. Gonzalez. Aïdori. Regas. City having to think about things a little bit differently tonight. They don't have Erling Haaland's height up front to pop those balls into. Off on his own run there, in the end he gets himself in a right mess. Falls down to his hole and picks up a yellow card. Switches one way and twists to the other. Had a chance to pass it. Didn't give up on it. Did very well eventually. She has shown a bit too much of the ball to here. The tap on the arm was always going to get a yellow card for that. Say it was fouled earlier, I don't think that was the case. What's heralded by Pep Guardiola as one of the best up-and-coming central midfielders in world football while he was still playing for Sporting in Portugal. But has since gone back on those comments and said just had the intelligence to play in midfield and now only used him at right back instead. He's yellow carded. Interesting situation here for Newcastle. Here we know to take a great set play. Trafford has been on top so far. And they catch him out here from the dead ball. Looks like the skipper who is the favourite. Might not be the biggest, but does pack a punch in set play situations. Newcastle could do with a boost. It's Trippier. Trafford more than equal to it. A comfortable save for the City goalkeeper. He goes in between a couple of the Man City players in the wall. Regas. Semenyo left. Antoine Semenyo. Angle title. Nearly in. It is now. And Manchester City are surely heading to Wembley. There is no doubt about it. Marmouche at the double. And Manchester City starting to enjoy themselves in a semi-final, which not too many teams can do. There's 2 goals in the first leg, 2 Marmouche goals in the second leg, 4-0 aggregate. There is no way back for Newcastle from this point. But look how easy it is. The Niners get all that space on the ball. Botman was in central midfield, big yard cross with it. You can see he's just about onside. Semenyo. Looks like his first touch wasn't a particularly good one, but he just placed it into a good area. Ramsdale touches it onto the defender. And Marmouche just has to keep his composure. It's a good finish. It wasn't a great cross from Semenyo. He almost bungled it into the ground. Trippier is always going to be difficult for him. Tries to play over his own crossbar. But Marmouche is there to make it 2-0. This goal has just been tested at home by the VAR to his Paul Howard. Just to see if everything is in order. was keeping him onside over on that far side of the field. It was the deepest player for Newcastle. Semenya, goal given.
Luke's starting to smile again. Hasn't been a great run coming into this game. He's only scored one in his last 13 games, but he's on solid game here now. And he's searching for another hat-trick against Newcastle.
Anyhow, we'll be asking how easy was it for the Riders just to make that forward round and get ball in space. There was the midfield, Zani went out to best. O'Reilly, Botman in the centre-half, didn't come across. Deal with Riders.
A surging run by Ramsey and Stratford. He does like to take a risk. Well, incredibly, that's worked out for Manchester City, but he had no right to, really.
Trafford looks overly confident with the ball at his feet. To poor decisions.
I know sometimes, well, that's just his game, but he likes to leave it right until the last second and take the player out of his game, or whether he is just that kind of player who sometimes gets a bit too relaxed. Either way, it worked out.
Onside. Semenya. Trickles right there, so you were talking about. Gets him on.
There you go. Way back to the reminder they now have to score at least 4 goals in the next 60 minutes. It might get worse for them here. Semenyo's going to be played in. That's what Semenyo trying to make it look so easy. Here's another. It's Riders running on City's advantage. And Newcastle looking and feeling very sorry for themselves now. This aggregate score is starting to get a little embarrassing for them. And the floodgates have opened here at the Etihad.
Well, the setup that Eddie Howe put out on the field just isn't working. Once again, Riders find so much space. The central midfield playing more advanced than O'Reilly and Nico Gonzalez. But it's so easy for us just to keep picking up the ball, running at the back four or back three of Newcastle, and then picking out the right pass. Watch it again. Ball played around the corner, he lets it run across his body. Now they're in trouble. The 2v2, picked out the right pass. Semenyo, I thought was going to shoot there, tries to come back inside. And Riders following it up, which was really nicely for them. This is the turn where it changes the whole picture. What he's done well so far, he has run with the ball, he's kicked the right pass at the end of it. I've got another touch on it. Halfway here. No recovery midfield players. Riders kicks his composure and just passes it in the corner. It could be a rout here.
Easy if you like. But it was 4-0 last time the sides met here. The talk of the Newcastle end of things at least coming into this game was the terrible record they've got inside this stadium. Come on Sunday as well as they go to Liverpool with a 5-goal advantage. You wouldn't play beyond next 20 goals to rest and rotate even at half time. Foden, Semenyo, City looking supremely confident here. He goes down, the Ghanaian. Referee Harrington says no penalty. Scored it. Paul. Newcastle looking adventurous again. There's a pullback there on Baltimore. Obviously, the big situations are for Newcastle. And they have lost the ball. They've looked susceptible to struggling on the counter. And make sure the back door is closed as well. 10 minutes to go until half time. Newcastle free kick. retain the ball. Tries to. Gordon. Paul. Gets into the face there of Foden. Foul eventually on Nico Gonzalez. City can rest and reset again.
Yeah, Burn again, the player that was involved. An eventful first 36 minutes. Dan Burn.
Well, it's been a struggle of a first half for Newcastle. Just the second time they've conceded 3 or more first half goals since Eddie Howe took charge back in late 2021. The other also at the Etihad against Manchester City in February last year. They were trailing 3-0 at half time in that one. 3 goals from Omar Mamouche before James McAtee left in the fourth, 6 minutes from time.
Eddie Howe has just changed the system slightly. Paul Tortemada over to him when the third goal went in. Tortemada's going to play up front by himself, and Gordon's going out to this left-hand side, so it's almost a 5-4-1.
Given away, Semenyo, Reinders has given himself work to do. Smashed it there into the chest of Ramsdale.
Takes one to win it from that one. He's actually shown good pace, Reinders, on 3 or 4 occasions now. Thought of him as being really quick. So well to get there, up against Botman. The only place he could score was at the near post. That would probably hurt Ramsdale.
He's taking them rather than conceding a 4. Stood much chance so far tonight. Foden looking to create. Cleared away by Baltimore, unconventionally. Newcastle still wearing that golden Carabao Cup patch on their arms, a reminder of their status as the holders of this competition. Came through their semi-final against Arsenal, 2-0 in each leg last year. Come on well short here tonight. Gonzalez, Semenyo, Reinders. Ignori. O'Reilly, Marmouche. Everybody feels satisfied then to say as a commentator. O'Reilly. Before we came into this game, and didn't have one there previously while playing for Wolfsburg as well. Way back in 2019, chasing just a third of his career here tonight now.
It's very much damage limitation now for Newcastle, the setup that they've got.
Well, I've got to say to you, 5 minutes forward for the break, anyhow, we 4 minutes like the central side, happy towards us. It's a pretty tough one, isn't it? Is he go chasing and just really get embarrassing, or?
No, he can't do that. I think he'll be saying to the players, oh, no, it's the second half, we're going to try and win the second half, but without conceding a goal.
Reinders bursting on again. Special in play. Checking feet, Ignori. Ramsey. Botman urged to clean. It does in some respects.
Whatever level of football you're playing, whatever the competition is, you can't win these games by 5 or 6 goals. There's real pressure on the manager. Team lose confidence. Over forward in the second half, Newcastle. They came up in the half. The last time they won a match here was in this competition back in 2014. Under Aarons and Musa Sissoko were the goal scorers that day. Into the final era of St James's Park. Nuri accelerating and moving at great pace. Marmouche. Gonzalez earns the shoot. He obliges. Straight down the throat of Ramsdale. It's what the shot. It is too straight. He's got to bend that from outside the far post. Starts too straight, goes straight into the midriff of Ramsdale. And things weren't bad enough here for Newcastle. They now have a problem with one of their star players because Anthony Gordon has gone down and stayed down. And his hamstring, that's not good news for any player. It's a problem that he's had many times previously as well. I think that will be night over for him. The only kind of comfort for them is that they do have a couple of players who play in his position on the pitch. What we hope is it's just a tightening of the hamstring rather than a tear or a pull. The man has had a good season. Looks like he has got the nod. Very good first half against Liverpool, didn't he, at the weekend? Harvey Barnes on the left wing position, cutting inside, getting shots away. Dangerous player. Not his night, is it, Eddie Howe? You need things to go in your favour when you come to a stadium like this, to face opposition like this. Anthony Gordon, to his feet by the physio. Playing a further part here, of course. These next few months massive for most Premier League players with the World Cup on the horizon. Gordon wants to be a part of things for England out in the Americas. Although this injury unlikely to really set him back in that respect. Gordon wants to be fully fit throughout the year. You can check Guardiola, check that he's okay, which is nice to see. Harvey Barnes comes on. Had a longer warm-up during the half-time interval. And it's a straight swap now because that's exactly where Gordon was playing on the left wing. Barnes is going to do that. Long direct to Marmouche. Ramsdale's come, so that's a retreat now. And flag up for offside. That's a good ball over the top. This time he's run. It's fairly tight. Such great pace, Marmouche. He's not that slow either, is he? Backhand there. He's a man you really appreciate when you see in the flesh as well, Erling Haaland, just how he really prowls around the field. And a watching brief for him so far this season. Ciao. Paul. Paul. Newcastle trying to stretch the pitch really wide here. They've got to be good with these balls over the top and too much on it for Baltimore to catch up with. As we get to the end of the first half,